1. Mathematics is the language of nature. 2. Everything around us can be represented and understood through numbers. 3. If you graph the numbers of any system, patterns emerge. Therefore, there are patterns everywhere in nature. Evidence. The cycling of disease epidemics. The wax and wane of caribou populations. Sunspot cycles. The rise and fall of the Nile.
Welcome to Red Ice Creations Radio. This is Henrik Palmgren coming to you from the west coast of Sweden. New or regular listeners, welcome. Nice to have you with us today. The website is redicecreations.com, and this is the place where you will find our radio archives going back to over a year and a half. And those who subscribe to redicecreations.com have full access to our radio archive, so head on over and take a look. This past Thursday we had Nick Begich with us from Alaska. Today we're going to go a bit further down south to Hawaii. We have Marko Rodin with us on the line. And we have an interesting subject to discuss today. Marko Rodin's vortex-based mathematics. Numbers, numerology, the Rodin coil, and a lot more. We're going to talk about the vortex-based mathematics and try to break it down for those who are new to Marko's work. I've been watching many of the videos that Marko has available on his YouTube channel. Very interesting material. Pop on over there and take a look. Simply go to youtube.com/Marko Rodin. Also take a look at his main website, markorodin.com, where you can find a lot more documentation, images, and other reports and so forth. So let's tune in to the program.
Let me give you some quick overviews. You ready?
Yep.
I'll run down the list. You ready?
Yes.
I don't know if it's a good time now, but interrupt me anytime you want.
Sure.
Number 1, that video is almost 15 years old. Number 2, discoveries and applications and inventions have been made, none of them of which is online. The reason it's not online is the same reason that video is 15 years old and I only just put it up, is that I have to pay the bills and I don't have any time to work on my project.
Mm-hmm.
So because of lack of being able to hire a web designer and an animator and people who can do the work, nothing gets done.
Mm.
My goal, I would leave the country. I would go anywhere to have a staff, to have people to help me, where I could afford to pay people to get things done. So I'm literally wasting my time here where I'm at, and I'm just, it's just impossible for me to make any headway. The only big development is in the state where I live, the Department of Education wants me to recreate their entire math program for all their schools.
Mm-hmm.
But again, for me to write grants and to get the funding, it's going to take another year or 2 or 3 years, and it's just such a waste of my time. Trying to when I have to wait for money,
sure,
and not being able to do anything.
So okay, so I mean, what are your plans? What do you want to do with this?
Well, I could hire a staff of just to do a textbook, a video. It's just to put the information, get a webmaster and put the information on. I mean, like if anybody's listening in the audience and they would want to come, and I'd even give them free rent, a place to stay in return for, if it was a webmaster, for getting this information up. I'm not trying to patent it. I'm not trying to copyright it. That's the problem. I don't have an economic model. I don't have a capital. It's called a capital enterprise model.
Mm-hmm.
What I have is if I can just give it away, then what I would do once I felt it could stand, it wasn't dependent on me, and it would survive on its own, and I knew it was going to endure, and people could then benefit and make their own inventions and apply it. I would go ahead and then make my inventions myself.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would start applying it to genetics and to propulsion and make a spaceship and make very advanced motors, very efficient motors. My crudest coil gets double the output of the magnetic field, which then translates into electricity. So, I mean, the fertile ground, the potential for inventing on this is just absolutely extreme.
I heard your interview that you did with Renz a few years ago, I guess it is now, and if I remember this correctly, we were on with a guy from, wasn't it like Microsoft or something, that was kind of endorsing your work. How did that turn out?
He considers me a direct competition to him and a direct threat.
Now? Now? So he changed his position, so to speak?
No. He hasn't changed. It was always that way.
Okay.
What he did was he made a discovery on how to use it for operating systems.
Mm-hmm.
His discovery he decided to patent. He told me that he could not discuss the discovery with me because it's being patented and it was all proprietary and he couldn't jeopardize it.
Okay.
I said that's fine, and I asked him for when he does an offering if I could have an option. So because I said I need money, and if I could have an option like everybody else, I would pay and buy the stock. But he was afraid that I was going to sue him, that I was going to claim that he had stolen from me.
Mm.
He never stole nothing from me. I have no patents. I was thankful for him applying it and taking it to other applications and specialties. I never required him to sign a non-disclosure agreement, never required him to sign a non-competition agreement. But he comes from Microsoft, where it's dog eat dog, and so he was frightened that I would litigate with him, and so he essentially moved to China, and he could afford to invent and do things there, and he was back and forth between Australia, and I just stopped. I usually don't keep up my communications with people. He did something very big for me, and I was very grateful. He gave me his name and his reputation, his resume, his whole professional career he put on the line for me. He put his head on the block, chopping block, and endorsed my work with his credentials, and who could ask for more?
Yeah.
But when it comes to money, it's always it's the survival of the fittest, and I'm obviously the one who's going to lose.
So there's not at this time anything kind of thing that you can do with your vortex-based mathematics that you can.
Things I can do, but I can't keep up with my day-to-day things. I can't keep up with the bills. I certainly am not going to try and take on anything more.
So what you're doing right now is basically that you want to hand it over to someone that can pick up on this then?
You can't hand it over. Nobody knows, or handing it over is the same as me doing it.
Sheesh.
How I would hand it over is I would do a video and a textbook. To hand it over would still take years of work.
So, okay, let's back up a little bit here and first talk about the videos that you have available right now on your YouTube channel, which, by the way, is youtube.com/Marko Rodin for those who want to check that out. But you're saying that video is 15 years old?
Hard to believe, isn't it?
Really? Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, it
was done in the early to mid '90s in Makawa on Maui in the state of Hawaii.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see here. What you're discussing in that video still is, you said that you have made some, discoveries after this, of course, and this has developed and so forth. But when
I did that video, I had no recognition. I had not one endorsement. I had very little evidence or proof.
Mm.
I was making claims. I was making huge assertions. The difference. Russell Blake from Microsoft had not reviewed my work. The professors at the University of Hawaii had not evaluated my work. Now what I have instead is I have people who have solved huge, very famous questions in mathematics and science and physics using my work, but the results haven't been published.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was to put up the answers and put up the applications, it would put my work on a more easily recognized by conventional academia, by mathematicians at the university level, by physicists at the university level. Everything that I have really up online right now is only understood and appreciated by people who have had their own altered state metaphysical miracle happen in their lives, and so they immediately identify and recognize it's true. Most people don't have the ability, based on what's up there, to know that it's true. So instead I should put up the stuff that's up there that will prove because they're scientific papers, they're peer-reviewed, or they've been applied to things, and it's explained in a very technical, mechanical engineering type fashion. So what we have right now is just a very crude presentation up on YouTube where I just free stream, I just go through it. It's not codified, it's not organized. It's certainly profound. I mean, I'm the only, what I put there, nobody's accomplished mathematically. Russell Blake, the review after that, said I have mathematical perfection. He says I'm the first one to ever model the internal volume of a torus. I'm the first mathematician to ever model a perfect 3D or omni 4D and dimensional higher form of mathematics. Fourier equations, calculus, it can't do what I do. I'm the first person to ever be able to have the most coherence, the most consistency. I'm able to model it mathematically and observe an energy, a spirit, prana, chi, whatever you call it, tachyon, monopole, dark matter, dark energy. I have found the missing energy in the universe, and I can see it, I can observe it, I can tap into it as a work wheel to make electricity and magnetism, to make a propulsion system for travel. I mean, it's very hard on me, because there's so much I could accomplish and do if I had a means to do it.
Okay, so let's talk about what is happening kind of right now. We can move in and talk a little bit later more about the possibilities, where this might go, and we also, of course, going to try to break this down more for people who are not at this point familiar what we are talking about at all. But are you still teaching classes and courses on Hawaii? How's that going?
I'm always teaching classes. I did a couple this week. My classes are in my home office, which is a 8 by 8 foot dry erase board. I'll be giving extreme classes starting the middle of February. For the next 2 months, I'll be using an LCD projector. I'll be going over projecting about 500 detailed different perspectives, different views of my discovery, cross sections, top, bottom, every type of view, angled view of the torus, of the donut, of the vortex, and the underpinning nested vortices. I'll be explaining how everything, all motion and vibration. I'll be explaining the morphogenetic field, the bioetheric template of DNA, genetics, the secret of cellular communication. So, yeah, I am ramping up, I am gearing up. I'm about to do a whirlwind of instruction. And I'm going to film those classes. I'm going to put them up on YouTube as well.
Excellent. That's an awesome idea. How about the folks who are, for instance, in that video that is on YouTube right now? Have those people kind of picked up on this and taken it further? What is happening with the people that are taking your classes and courses?
Well, they go on and they apply it to their specialty. It takes them a while to get up to speed. I mean, it's very exhaustive for me to be always teaching. I don't get paid. I don't charge for the classes. They're always free. It just depends on who you're talking about. The results of their discoveries are not up online yet because I don't have a webmaster. But I could give examples of discoveries and applications at the University of Hawaii. There's one where it explains the growth of plants and how that explains prime numbers. There's another discovery that explains, I'll just say that the professor who did that, I'll call his first name, I'll say is Scott. Then there's another teacher named Farron, and Farron figured out why the base 10 system becomes a torus and why base 15 and base 16 doesn't. The next torus is base 26 because it's the next prime squared, 5 squared. Next base system that makes a torus after that. Of course, that torus has 4 conductors. Instead of being bifiliar, it has 4. Still only has 1 gap space in the center. I know nobody knows what I'm referring to. And then the next base is base 50 because it's 7 squared. So it turns out that the reason we count in base 10 is it's the first true prime with number 3 squared, which makes modular 9 base 10. There's other people's discoveries. There's nothing up online really about the healing machines, the radionic devices. They've sold probably in excess of $50 million in machines, people who've gone and put my coils in them. The coils are very crude, very primitive, but they've had a lot of positive results treating cancer and other diseases. I still consider it a very primitive technology, the radionic technology, but